why does it seem like special needs cases are becoming more rampant?
Yeah, I get that over the last decade, really, I've had that question quite a bit. And I believe that the reason that it appears that there seems to be more and more special needs coming is because it's no longer considered a taboo. Good morning and welcome to Voice of Inclusion. I'm Dr. Kimberley Scollard. I'm the head of school for Anthos House, which is a Green Springs initiative. Anthos House was designed for students with special needs to address what is going on in our community and how best to support them. With me is my colleague, Mrs. Ogunnaike.
Thank you, Dr. Scollard. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mrs. Atinuke Ogunnaike. I'm a Chartered Educational Assessor. I'm the Assistant Principal here at Anthos House, and I'm the team lead for the Psychoeducational Assessment team.
And it's great to be here with all of you. So what we thought we would do, rather than just talk about various subjects, is for our very first episode, we thought we would answer some of the most commonly asked questions that we get pretty much for the last few years. First question, and once again, they're in no particular order, so we've just taken, as I said, the most common themes and common questions that we've had throughout the years. This is a good one. What is the multidisciplinary SEN team?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that question. Yes, parents have asked that type of question a lot. What is a multidisciplinary SEN team? So a multidisciplinary SEN team would comprise of various individuals that are professionals in the field of special needs. And when I say various individuals that are professionals, I'm talking about occupational therapists, educational therapists, psychologists, speech and language therapists, and the SEN teachers as well. That's the special education needs teachers. So this makes up a team, and then it's a collective effort at the end of the day. And every single professional has a part to play in the progress of a child with special needs. So that's basically what it sums up what a multidisciplinary team is, just like we have here at Anthos House.
Yeah, and depending on exactly what your child's needs are, their team will vary between ABA therapists and occupational therapists and speech and language, but of course the underlying is education, so they always will have a class teacher and subject teacher.
And it's very important to also note that this multidisciplinary team work with a document that is called an individualized education plan. You must have heard about an IEP. So the IEP document is set up in such a way that particular goals are set for each child, and each team member works with that child to achieve goals, and as they achieve each goal, they just move up to the next. So the IEP document serves to measure the child's progress.
Okay, I'm going to ask a second question, even though I know it's not my turn, because I think this is really very important. There's a lot of confusion around this particular subject, and you're the perfect person to answer this. What is a psychoeducational assessment, and what will it do for my child?
Oh yeah, very interesting question. So a psychoeducational assessment is a comprehensive type of assessment that provides information about a child's, not just a child now, I would say an individual, because we also assess adults as well, an individual's current functioning. When I say current functioning, I'm talking about the child's or the individual's intellectual ability, the individual's cognitive functioning, the individual's academic achievement, as well as behavioral and social-emotional functioning. So it's a very comprehensive test, and the way it runs is such that a set of standardized tests are administered to these individuals. So there are different tests that will test the child's IQ, the child's memory, attention, the child's academic achievement. It's a very comprehensive assessment. So when parents want to know what it entails, we explain to them that, well, it takes, when we're conducting the assessment, it takes a number of hours. Sometimes it can take a day, sometimes it can be more than a day actually. So when the students come in and then we start to conduct the assessment, and then we move from one test to another. Remember I said we're administering standardized testing, because at the end of the day, we're going to analyze the tests, and then we are checking it against what is expected of other students within the child's age group. So we want to know how the child is performing. We want to check the child's age grade, age-based norms, and then age-based norms as well. Now, this psychoeducational assessment, what it will do for your child, according to the parent that asks, it will help you to know the child's current functioning in terms of the child's strengths and the child's difficulties. All right, and then this same psychoeducational assessment also provides recommendations to the home, that is what the parents can do at home, and also recommendations to the school as well. So as part of the recommendations to the school, there may be intervention plans that the child will benefit from. The child may require some certain interventions that the child would need to move from that level the child started to the next level. So apart from the recommendations as well, it also helps to determine how to support the child in the school during exams and even external exams as well.
What's interesting is that this is a legal document. So when your child, let's say, is in high school and is about to write IGCSE or with the British Council or any sort of organization that awards certificates, this document can be used to help your child get the accommodation that they need. So if they need extra time, or if they need someone to scribe for them, or if they need whatever help they require, and it has to be done. And the results are. So it's very, very important.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question now, Dr. Scollard. So this is one question that a lot of parents have asked. It's a very interesting question. It says, why does it seem like special needs cases are becoming more rampant?
Yeah, I get that over the last decade, really, I've had that question quite a bit. And I believe that the reason that it appears that there seems to be more and more special needs coming is because it's no longer considered a taboo. It's something we now talk about. It's something that we address. It's something that we put measures in place to support. So I don't think we're seeing more of it. What we're hearing and seeing is people actually not being ashamed of it. That are saying, this is my child, I have some concerns, and this is why we have the testing. So I think it's just simply becoming more mainstream than it has before. So there's not that, not the bugaboos about it that there used to exist. We don't hide our children anymore. They're out there, we're training them and working with them to have them as a functioning part of society. So anytime the fabric of society changes, there's always that fear that, oh, this is happening more often. But I don't believe it is. We're just becoming more aware and more accepting of individuals who are different.
Okay, I think so too.
What age is best for intervention? At what age?
Very interesting question, right? So what age? We, in the special needs field, we always say early intervention is key. And even before early intervention, early detection, so early assessment, the early intervention is key. And then I think the next question would be, what is early? What age is actually early? In my practice, I've seen that there are children that they actually started with them from before 2 years of age. All right, so some will start before 2, some will start 3. But one thing that you should know is that by the time children start to get older, they become less impressionable. So younger children are more impressionable. It means that whatever interventions that are being provided, the child would actually improve better. But when the child gets older, the period of intervention or the period to see progress actually will take a longer time. So it's better that you start early as possible. So I think my answer to that question would be as early as possible. Really, as early as possible. Right now in Nigeria, we have places where very young children can go to and get interventions to improve their functioning. So as early as possible, really. It's never too early to start intervening.
So, what is an access arrangement, and is it going to make my child lazy?
Okay, so an access arrangement is a set of accommodations that are provided based on the psychoeducational assessment that have been conducted on your child. So the access arrangement would include accommodations like extra time. So when we test students, we may find that they are unable to complete tasks at an age expected level. So when we conduct psychoeducational assessment, an access arrangement for such a child will be extra time. Now, we're not trying to make the child lazy, we're trying to support the child. All right, so that the fact that the child actually has an evidence that the child is unable to perform at an age expected level in terms of time is not interfering with the child's performance during tests and exams. All right, so another access arrangement that I would think about right now is a reader. If we assess a child and we find that the child's reading is the child's reading ability is below age expected level, a way to support that child is to recommend that the school or the external examiner provides a reader. A reader is a teacher or someone in the school that will read the question so that the child's difficulty with reading does not impair his performance or her performance in the test or exams. Another access arrangement that comes to mind is also things like modified language. Sometimes you want to modify the language of the testing as well. And then for some children that have attention difficulties and they may require prompting. So a prompter is also an access arrangement. So there are a number of access arrangements that are recommended based on the psychoeducational assessment, and it has to be from a psychoeducational assessment because the examining body will take that document. Remember, it's a legal document. Will take that document and then they would, apply that during tests, during exams. All right, so Dr. Scott, it's your turn. Okay, so I have a very interesting question here. It says, how long will it take to fix my child?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always looking for that quick fix. If I just did this and that, there is no answer to that. Some issues are once a routine is established and once therapy has been started, that you will see changes almost immediately in behavioral or learning ability. But once again, it's one of those things that's absolutely up to the child. Some children in some areas will move very, very quickly, but not in other areas. So we've seen, I've been in special needs for 30 years and I've seen it change so much over that time. And, we're always learning about how best to support our special needs children. So everything takes time. And when you start to see changes, oftentimes it's very little things. And then you're on a roll, and then unfortunately, you hit adolescence. And then, the child's body starts to change, hormones come back, and then you find yourself with a whole new area of issue. So there is no, in 6 weeks we're going to do this, or in 2 months we're doing this, in 2 years. Each child is an individual. And as they go through the training that they require, the support that they need, they will develop. And sometimes you'll see great leaps forward. Other times it will seem like nothing has changed. And then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, my child was doing that. I cannot tell you how many times I've walked by a student and we always, even nonverbal students, say, good morning, how are you? And pause and then have a student who's never spoken a word to me say, good morning, I'm fine, how are you? And it sort of stops you like, what did you just say? So it really is, it's a very individualized. There is no correct answer for that one.
And also, I think we also need to think about the fact that consistency is very, very important when it comes to interventions.
Right? Doing the same thing the same way all the time, because once again, that's how easy. Yeah, very, very true. Here's an interesting one we get oftentimes. Where can I find professional help for my child?
Oh, very good question. Where can parents find professional help for their child? So, Anthos House. Yeah. Introducing Anthos House to you. Anthos House is the place to learn and grow. In Anthos House is a special needs school, so we have a multidisciplinary team of special needs professionals that are working with our students here. So if you want professional help for your child, please come to Anthos House. Right there at Anthos House as well, we have our assessment center where we conduct psychoeducational assessment and other forms of assessment. So Anthos House is the place for you.
Absolutely. And what's great about Anthos House is if we believe your child actually belongs in a mainstream environment with support, that is what we're going to tell you. And we're going to help you find that. We're very, very fortunate that we're part of the Green Springs family of schools, because each of those schools have special needs department or learning support departments. So not all children are destined for Anthos House, but once again, psychoeducational assessment, talking to the professionals, understanding what a child needs, what a young person needs, and then helping you find the right place for it.
Right.
And Anthos House is that place to do that.
Yes, okay, Dr. Scollard, here's a fun question for you. My sister's child was like this and is now fine. Will my child outgrow this?
That's actually a very common question. We hear that frequently. Oh, his cousin was whatever. And the answer is, once again, it's based on your child's diagnosis. And I cannot say that strong enough. You must have your child tested. And then once again, once you put in the proper measures that your child needs, yes, you are going to see some change. But as I said before, every child is different. And oftentimes, what's happened in the past, and this is my experience, as children learn to mask things. They pretend things aren't there, or they learn that this isn't acceptable, or they get in trouble for this. So they, really try to hold themselves in. And in the long run, this isn't a very good outcome for a lot of children, because eventually it does catch up to them. But once again, having a child assessed, getting the support that they need, that is going to be the best outcome for your child. And whether they are, a lifelong issue, it's like anything else. It's one of those, we just have to be brave, move forward, and do what's best for the child. And it's not always going to be like that. Okay, here's one for you. What does special education mean?
Fantastic. So we've been talking about special education and everything we've talked about today. So special education actually is a range of services, is a variety of services that are provided by professionals. Now, these services are specialized services that have to be provided by professionals in the field of special needs, all right? So when a child is assessed and then we find that this child needs special needs services, then we turn to the professionals and say, okay, your child needs this and this and this. We map out a plan for the child and then work with that child.
And it's very important that everyone actually has that opportunity to be assessed, because sometimes it's just simply a matter of intervention, knowing that they need a little extra support in something, and then they get it. So, very good advice.
Okay, all right, Dr. Scollard, I have another question for you here. It says, what are the challenges faced by parents of children with special needs?
This has just such a long answer. For me, it's people who don't know what they're doing or think they know what they're doing and they have no idea. And that's very negative, because it's, all you have to do is XYZ, and that's going to be the answer for your child. Coming from someone who is not involved in special needs in any way, shape, or form, who is not a doctor, who is not a therapist, who is not a speech and language therapist. So you've got a lot of people that, oh, well, my child was like this. There's all of this information out there that is simply not true. And there's a lot of misunderstanding. So, spoil the child. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Well, you can't beat these things out of children, and we've learned that. So thank goodness we are in an era where we're understanding that, a little bit more about how the brain works and what causes different things. So I think, once again, if family is wonderful and they can be there to support us, but there are places like Anthos House that you can come, have a conversation. And that's one of the reasons that Anthos House is here, is to educate parents, educate the community. So come and see us. I have questions. I'm not sure, because we have a big community here that we can refer you to based on what your actual needs are. But educating yourself, educating your family, and just try not to be afraid. It is a very scary prospect, but try not to be afraid. There are, one of the things a parent said to me once is, My husband kept saying, God will provide. And she was like, you're absolutely right. Here's Anthos house. And look at how well my child is doing now. So sometimes the answers are right in front of our faces and we don't see it. So it's like that, see the forest for the trees. So I think just always ask. And it is scary, but you're not alone. And you won't be alone to face these
Some
challenges.
of the challenges that comes to mind right now as well is that the parents with special needs also face this challenge of not getting the right professionals in their location, actually. There's also the challenge of not starting on time, not starting early, starting when it's already very late and the child is formed, all right? And I think I'll take back very late. I don't think it's ever too late, actually.
It's never too late
to start. It's
It just
never
becomes
too
more
late.
challenging.
Yes, it just takes a longer time, for progress. So these are some of the challenges that parents with children with special needs are facing.
Yeah, as you know, we've had experience many times of a child that's come to Anthos House and they have they're 12, 13 years old, and they have never been in school because there's just never been anyone that's been able to support them. So, it's like anything else. The longer it takes to get intervention, the longer it's going to take. So early intervention, early diagnosis is key to get the support that you need. This next question, what is the best age for intervention?
So that is related to the other question.
I think we answered that.
Answered before, yes. So start as early as possible.
Yes. And then another question, when should I seek professional help? We've discussed this sort of ad nauseum. This is my benchmark. If your child is displaying something and you sort of go, huh? And you have that quizzical, that's when you start asking questions. That's when you go to your pediatrician. That's when you go to your medical community to say, I've noticed this. And don't stop asking.
Yeah.
Because not everybody is on board with this. Like, oh, he'll grow out of it, it'll pass through. Don't stop it. And again, come to Anthos House. If we don't have the answer, we will help you find it. That is one of the reasons that we're here, is to be part of the community and allow people the freedom to learn what they need to learn and to support every child, regardless of the age. So continue to ask questions. Don't just think, oh, my child, maybe your child will grow out of it. But once again,
other things to look out for also, I would like to delve into delays in the child's developmental milestones. Once you start to notice that there are delays, for some parents, in my practice, some parents have said in the past that, okay, so for their first child, because there was no other sibling to compare the child with, it was difficult to say, oh, this child is not walking at this age or is not talking at this age. Okay, so my response would usually be, okay, check the church members, the neighbors and things like that, and then read about it. Okay, so when you start to notice that there are delays in social skills, not just in the language or motor development as well. Once you get complaints from the school about your child's learning, it may be a good time to start and check and after asking questions. And like Dr. Scollard said, come to Anthos House.
Don't be afraid of the answers. It really is, the answers are not the scary part. The not knowing is the scary part. So we want to do what's best for all of our children, and that's what we're here for.
Okay, so I have a very interesting one for you again, Dr. Scollard. It says, how is Anthos House different from other schools?
Anthos House is different in a wide variety of ways. It is a school that is dedicated specifically for students with special needs. So students who have Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy. So it is a school that you're not going to find mainstream students here. So all of the learning programs are adapted to special needs. So for example, we do math and English. However, it's functional math and functional. So these are things that help our students become part of society, are able to join into society, can go shopping, can do banking, can hold a job, can get ASDAN certificates, which are certificates that can be used for college, university, and we educate the community. So we have people coming in to visit us. We have volunteers that come to learn. So it really is a central organization. And we have a wonderful organization called Anthos Treasures. And this is something that our students have actually developed. And it is an art gallery. And it is work that they have done. Like you can see this table, this was made by students. So they sell that in order to fund various projects and various school trips. So it is a very different, it's a safe, secure, proactive, very positive place. We know it's tough, we know it's difficult for you, but you're going to succeed. And our children do succeed.
Another way I would like to add that Anthos House is different from other schools is because here at Anthos House, our students come here, what other schools can't see, the skills of the child that the other schools can't see, we see them here at Anthos House. So we have our students that are skilled because we are also focusing on life skills for our students. Learning vocational skills here as well, and we are getting them ready for independence, right? And independent living.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so one sort of last question, I think, is one that's sort of overall is, why is my child struggling at school?
Very interesting question. I can't tell you the amount of parents have asked that question. Why is my child struggling? They say, Mrs. Ogunnaike, I have got my child lesson teachers, we've done different things in school, we have extra lessons, but why is my child struggling? And usually my question would be, has this child undergone a psychoeducational assessment? They're like, what is that? So, why is your child struggling? There is no way to know just by remaining there. The best way to know is to do a psychoeducational assessment. When you do a psychoeducational assessment, it will give you an idea of some of the underlying difficulties that may be affecting the child's performance in school. All right? What you may not be able to detect easily from a child sitting down in a classroom, a psychoeducational assessment is in there. So it's going to give you an idea of how the child is learning. So that way the school is also guided on how to teach the child. So really, why is your child struggling in school? It may be different things. It could be emotional, it may be an emotional issue, it may be anything at all that is caused. So we need to meet the child, assess the child, interview the child, and try to see. We're also going to interview you as parents as well to know what it is. But I can guarantee you that a psychoeducational assessment will actually give you answers to that question. All right, so I have another question for you here, Dr. Scollard. This says, my child has just been diagnosed. What is the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge for most people is the fact that your child is diagnosed. On one hand, it's oftentimes a relief, like, oh, okay, I get it. It's, parents blame themselves. They blame what they did. Moms blame themselves what they did. Oh, if I just hadn't done that, if I'd slept more, if I'd done this during pregnancy, this would have. So I think it's a big relief on one hand, but it's a big guilt on the other. What is next? So those are, a lot of questions are next. But I think that once again, we're so lucky to be in the era that we're in now where, everything is not a huge deal. There are interventions, there are things that can be done, there is support out there for everyone. So I think there's a lot of mixed emotion once a child is diagnosed. And it's a lot of very good, but also a lot of very oh, I don't know why. And this is why Anthos House is here, because it can help you, guide you through that process and say that it's not always going to be easy. And not everybody out there is going to embrace your child, but there are possibilities.
That's good. I'll tell you also that sometimes when they get the result, when the parents get the result of the assessment, it sometimes actually confirms their suspicions. Actually, they're like, oh, no wonder, I knew this. Now it's clear and I understand better. Okay, here's another question for you. The parent is asking, what did I do wrong?
Oh, yeah. We get this a lot, and God bless parents, because we take, we question ourselves about everything. Am I doing the right thing? Should I discipline in this manner? Should I do this type of diet for my child? You did nothing wrong. Nothing. This is just what your child is. So now let's concentrate on moving them forward. And it's normal to feel guilty that I've done, and sometimes it's a genetic condition, sometimes but God has a plan. And I firmly believe, and I truly believe that with support, many of our children will go on and having productive lives. It's okay to feel guilty, but really, it is what it is.
But don't stay guilty.
Don't stay guilty.
Don't wallow in that feeling of guilt.
And that's not going to help your child, because eventually that child will take on that responsibility, and they'll feel that they are the reason you're unhappy. God doesn't make mistakes. Okay. Well, this has just been really fun. I really enjoyed doing this. We're going to be setting up a series of these, I don't want to call them lectures, just these podcasts to help you understand, special needs and Anthos House and the support that is actually out there. You are not alone. None of you are alone. I'm sure the phone number for Anthos House is going to be shown at some point in time on this. But please, if you have a question, reach out to us. This is what we are here for. We want to help. We want all our children, both special needs and mainstream, to have the best that they possibly can have. So please, again, I'm Dr. Scollard.
And I'm Mrs. Ogunnaike.
And thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.